Well, come back to Let's Play Higurashi Meakashi. Kai! So, internet's still shit, but it's working at the moment. And you know, so I could sign into Steam properly, and look at this. Still nothing! No new updates. Only the Umineko one, and that's not this one, you know. Also, it said I last played on Sunday. Maybe it didn't recognize when I played it offline, I don't know. Because I definitely must have played it. I can't remember the exact day. My sleeping pattern's been so god-awful the past freaking week. Well, 3 weeks if you really look at it that way. It's just like any time I have to sleep in the night, it never works out. Like I woke up today at around about 11 in the morning. That's rare, because usually I wake up in the afternoon because it's just like, I don't know, mornings are just kind of there, essentially. Anyway, let's get a word out of the door. Wait, I said that in the wrong order. Word of the day out of the way. Ominous music. Ominous. Rousseau, absence. You may be wondering, why did you laugh at that a bit there? Well, the thing is, you got like, suru is usually like used at the end of sentences and all that to give it a bit of extra meaning. It's kind of, I can't fully understand its meaning, but it's always used at the end. It's kind of like des in a way, and how common it is. But I'm not fully sure of its meaning yet. But this is like backwards. Rousseau, absence. Let's find a longer word though. We gotta have a longer word. How about Modori, return. Return to the plot. I turned around to face her. Is she gonna have the creepy eyes? And got the chills. Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze with my eyes open.
Have you experienced anything like that? I guess not. Probably.
Rena kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to figure out what she was saying.
Have you ever thought of leaving Enemy's Hour and moving to a big city? Have you ever thought of doing something like that?
I didn't know how to respond. Well, you know, technically Shion has. I mean, she's barely lived in Enemy's Hour from the sounds of it. She's lived in Okinawa. I mean, it's not far from Enemy's Hour, really. It's the closest town. But she hasn't lived in Enemy's Hour. And then she was, like, sent to that school for maybe a year at least. So, that was even further away. I didn't know how to respond. Rena waited for my answer, urging me to speak with her silence. No. I love it here.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? I knew that.
It didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Oh, it is a bad idea to lie to Rena. Should ask Keiichi about that. Oh well, Keiichi hasn't, you know, arrived in Enemy's Hour at this point in the plot. Because it's a year before. Rena has some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds just by seeing the slightest change in their expressions. So I had to tell her the truth.
You'll be okay if that's true. Oyashiro-sama won't get mad at you.
Oyashiro-sama? Oyashiro-sama. That's in Misawa's garden here in Nati. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment. If this was really Mion in this situation, she'd probably understand where Rena's going with all this, because she's more, she knows more about her. But then again, it might have been within the year that she had been there. Like, in Higurashi, the one I referenced before, for this, there was a moment where Rena went all like, Oyashiro-sama, and Mion kind of showed that she'd experienced this shit with Rena before, because the way she responded to it was less, oh my god, I'm freaking out at you being creepy, was more of, stop being creepy, Rena.
That's right, Oyashiro-sama.
She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate enemies either. Oyashiro-sama never allows the villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the dismemberment, murder, and the death of the Hojo couple. Now, with that in mind, though, so the rules are the villagers are not allowed to leave. They don't take kindly to outsiders. So what the fuck are they supposed to do then? It's like, oh well, I suppose we'll just have to grow food on the land and all that. We'll have to make our own economy and shit within our village and sustain itself. It wouldn't be able to last, would it, really? When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall under the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, Tokyo to be precise, but it should be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Hinamizawa. The hag forced me to live this suffocating life, but I still chose to stay in this place. I don't believe I'm breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I came back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me. But I think I'm still afraid of it.
I love this place, so I don't think I qualify for Oyashiro-sama's curse. You could even call
Wait, that's probably Shion, I suppose. I love this place, so I don't think I qualify for Oyashiro-sama's curse. Could even call me a model villager. Oh.
Yes, I think so too. But I'm not sure about Satoshi-kun.
Why?
Satoshi-kun wants to leave Hinamizawa and run far away, even if only unconsciously.
I gave an inaudible cry. While I was feeling sad that Satoshi-kun hadn't shown up for practice, he still lived in Hinamizawa, so I'd never even considered the thought of him going away. Are you saying that he wants to skip town? Oh.
Yes, he's not aware of it himself though. He probably didn't notice it until Oyashiro-sama stood by his bed.
I still have no idea what she was talking about. I continued to try to figure out what she was saying.
Everything he's going through is a sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. You feel like someone's watching you from a distance and it follows you, then it watches from right behind you. After that you start hearing an extra footstep. It only happens outside at first, but you start hearing it even inside your house after a while. Then Oyashiro-sama keeps watching you even while you're sleeping in the dark, right by your side waiting silently for you to admit your sin. Satoshi-kun told me he was having nightmares at first, so I asked him what kind of dreams he was having. And those dreams he was having, as it turned out, were just like mine. I warned him that the presence would become bigger. He'd hear an extra footstep and feel the presence watching him in his sleep. I told him to come to me if that ever happened. He must have been suspicious at first, but just as I predicted, he started to feel Oyashiro-sama's presence most strongly. He finally realized he could talk to me about it.
Jesus Christ. I wonder though, Ren, if maybe you tell him about that freaking amplified the problem. Make him more paranoid. Rena didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. I could only feel stunned. Oh, this is Rena as well. Is this background the same village or is it a different place? It looks like it must be because there are mountains in the background after all.
I'm from Misawa originally, but I moved to Ibaraki Prefecture right before I went to elementary school. However, when I couldn't adjust to my new environment, Oyashiro-sama frequently started telling me to return to Misawa in my head. But I couldn't do anything since I was just a little kid. I was forced to live there, though I felt threatened by Oyashiro-sama's voice. Then...
Rena paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into the details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more. If you remember Onikakushi, way back in Onikakushi, we got a bit more information, mostly from Oishi on this one, didn't we? On her kind of background.
Anyway, I was able to come back here in the end. Oyashiro-sama forgave me. I haven't felt his presence anymore since then. Satoshi-kun is being subjected to the curse even though he's in Misawa. Why? There can only be one reason. It's because he wishes to abandon Misawa. Oyashiro-sama won't allow that.
After a series of inner monologues, he confessed. Wait, no. Maybe she's still speaking.
After a series of inner monologues, he confessed. You know he's working part-time, don't you? The teddy bear he's getting for Satoko-chan costs about 100,000 yen. And he's trying to get the money by her birthday. Have you noticed it yet? Think about it like this. If he had that amount of money, that'd be enough for him to run away somewhere far away from here. He's unconsciously started to think about that, about leaving Satoko-chan behind. But he'd feel very guilty. As you pointed out, Satoko-chan is a burden on him. He's not stupid, so he's aware of that. He just doesn't want to admit it because he's the one who's supposed to protect his little sister. He's been struggling with himself. He thinks he's working to please Satoko-chan on her birthday. But he also feels that he might be deceived himself because he unconsciously wants to skip town with that money. I don't think he should run away. Even if he did, he'd regret it for the rest of his life. Oyashiro-sama knows that. That's why Oyashiro-sama is trying to warn him. I hope Satoshi-kun stops thinking of abandoning Satoko-chan. He's working hard to make it to Satoko-chan's birthday, which is a couple of days after the Botanica Festival. He's pushing himself too hard. He believes it'll end when Satoko-chan's birthday comes. The curse keeps cautioning him while he tries to figure out whether he should leave her or continue protecting her.
The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It only just started. It kept pouring down on the galvanized iron roof, producing a loud noise. Yet in the shack it fell completely silent. What the hell was Rena talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I had figured out is that Satoshi-kun was struggling, confused and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oyashiro-sama's curse. And Rena has experienced that before. I sound like, I don't know who the hell they had, like, on the audio for, Sonata Arctica, I think. Their second album of Silence or something like that. And there's like a few songs that have like this guy kind of narrating stuff over it. And he sounds kind of like that voice I just put on there. He's suffering from Oyashiro-sama's curse, and Rena's experienced that before. The Higurashi Festival was right around the corner. Oyashiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. There was no guarantee that it wouldn't strike a fourth time. Satoshi-kun was subject to Oyashiro-sama's curse even now. Is he going to skip town? Was he going to be the next victim of Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. End? I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Rena told me, but if something really was happening to Satoshi-kun, which might bring about some kind of an end, I got now feeling scared. You know, despite the soundtrack being different for the Anthrax, I like how they kind of keep the sound effects. You know, like, it's not just the Higurashi sound effect, they've also got this kind of sound effect. I wonder if they still have that kind of piano bit where it's like... Because that effect is quite like... It feels like a cliche kind of sound effect, but it works nicely when something shocking happens in the plot. Like, when, for example, when Keiichi would come across... like some shocking detail about Oyashiro-sama or the dam or anything like that that you'd not heard before, and they're just like, wait, what? Yeah, whatever. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but you had to listen to me. Sis, what's going on with Satoshi-kun? He looks really stressed out. I can't even talk to him. What do you mean? You don't know what's going on because you can't talk to him? Sorry. Sis, give me another chance to trade spots again. That's fine, but I'm kind of busy lately attending meetings for the festival. What are you planning to do? Another part-time job? I'm going to your school. It was decided. Higurashi went to cry Kai! Higurashi no naku korone! Kai! I finally looked it up. That's what it is. You have received new tips, notebooks. You skipped out on 22 and 23. Why is this? My freaking Pokemon LP? Achievement unlocked possessed with all those battle CDs I haven't found yet. But yeah, it's Koro. That's the kanji character, I guess. Which, in that context, I suppose means when. So, you know, like, it's kind of weird, really. They only use kanji characters in that for when and Kai. I don't know why. I imagine a title would probably translate more to something like, well, it does make sense. They just rearranged the title, I imagine. Well, no, they didn't, actually, because it's actually Higurashi no Naku, which is Higurashi Cry, and then Koro, which is when, and Ni Kai. I'm not 100% sure what Kai means. I think maybe it's like conclusion. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure because, like, they're question marks and answer marks, so it's gotta be related to that. But I imagine, like, you could, like, rearrange that to be like when the Higurashi cry. But that's, while that also has a nice sound to it, nice ring to it, Higurashi when they cry also does. And you know, it starts even in Japanese with Higurashi, you know. Higurashi cry when. It has a different order. You gotta rearrange it. Well, I suppose it's more like Higurashi cry when they, if you're gonna translate it literally. It's like, it's in my dictionary, I think. Koro, Koro, Koro. I mean, that's where I found it originally. Koro, yeah. Koro, time, often attached to words and phrases about time to mean the time when, about, or time to for. See, it kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it? It's attached to that sentence to mean, in this context, when they. It doesn't give an example of that. It just says the time when, about, or time to. Or it could be like the time when the Higurashi cried, but that doesn't really sound right, so you just make it to when the Higurashi cried, because that makes more sense. But essentially that's what Kuro means. It's like time, it's just added on to words and phrases to make it make more sense. We have notebooks. But we don't get 2 pages in between. Oh, an actual notebook for once. Why don't I relate to my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Or maybe that's what the other two missing pages were for. Her name is Rene Ryugu. You know what I find strange about her last name? Is that it has that weird, you know, if you read it out in Romanji, it's like it wouldn't actually be written out exactly like this. It'd be like, I don't know, it'd have like some kind of thing above the U's. You see it in other languages as well, because it's kind of just a drawn out pronunciation, but it doesn't really sound that drawn out, really, does it? Rena Ryugu. I mean, it is kind of, and that should have two U's as well, technically. It's just a bit confusing, you know, because it's like Ryu, and then it's an extra E, and then Gu, and another E. It's just kind of drawn out a bit. It's, you know, compulsory. We gotta do this every time. I want to know if it shows her last name, but yeah, it does. Ryugu Rena. Ryugu Rena. I think I've seen this character before. I'm not sure about this one. I always find it kind of weird how, like, sometimes first names will just be written out in katakana. For example, Hatsune Miku. Her first name is written out in katakana as well, but her last name is in kanji. Is that just a common thing, or what? I don't know. Some names use kanji for both, but other times, nope. Her real first name is Rena. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain, she has no relation to the Sonzaki family. She has no relation to the three families as a whole, either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinmizawa, but then they moved to Ibaraki. That was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinmizawa some years later. Rena Ryugu said she came back because Oyashiro-sama told her to. I don't know what that means. She said it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that Oyashiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Satoshi-kun had been interested in that experience. She said that Satoshi-kun was also experiencing Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Rena had the same experience before. What is Oyashiro-sama's curse? Why did Rena and Satoshi-kun have a similar experience? I believe that means that Satoshi put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Rena and Satoshi-kun both blindly believed in Oyashiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oyashiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing paranormal phenomena. Judging from what Rena said, it seems that Satoshi-kun had been on surveillance since long before Watanagashi. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Rena? I'm assuming that this surveillance was placed on a victim to be of that year. If so, I don't understand why Rena went through it. Why did they watch her even though she was living so far away? If she was considered somebody who abandoned a village, I could understand. But she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to Hinmizawa. I guess she still knows something I don't. Satoshi-kun looked terrible. When he went home, he had to meditate a fight between Satoko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. What do you mean, where he looked terrible? Did she learn this from... Well, actually, she might have. I've already forgot that little exchange between Mion and Shion over the phone. Because, like, didn't Mion say she hasn't really seen him in a while because she's been busy and he's kind of avoiding them for the most part? Well, she would have still had to have seen him. They still go to the same school unless he's been skipping out on that as well. When he went home, he had... Oh, wait, but that must have been from their conversation then, because she'd probably at least know that much, you know. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. He had to meditate a fight between Satoko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day. He became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He either slept on his desk or was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. That curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Satoshi-kun that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Satoshi-kun's aunt had also been watched. But did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victims of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove the curse on Satoshi-kun was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance, paranoia, or really the curse? That is the question. Will we get answers in this part? Unlikely. Was that always how the bell sounded? Have they changed the sound effect, or is it simply because it's been for frickin' ever since I last heard the, class finished bell thing? Because, well, Himatsubushi had none of that, and Tatari Goroshi, by the end of it, didn't exactly have the class, did it? President, if you would. Or maybe, I can't tell if that was Chie Sentai or the principal, because neither appeared on screen. Well, the principal doesn't have a portrait, but still. For a moment I forgot that the class president was me. All rise. Looks like you didn't get enough sleep. I know it's been very hot at night lately, but try not to get, but try to get as much sleep as you can. Alright, everyone. Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure this place can be called a school, because there are so many different age groups. And I wonder what that kanji on the board, I suppose, or above the board is, because it's not the alphabet, like you'd see traditionally in a school. Or is it? No, those are definitely kanji characters. Maybe they're just like words. They probably are. They got two kanji characters, that usually feels like a good indication. Well, each kanji character is a word in itself, but combined with another kanji character, it gives it more context and morphs into another word. I don't know, kanji is confusing. I'm not sure it's blah blah blah, because there are so many different age groups. It's like a kindergarten and an elementary school blended together. Since I'd heard already about this place was like, I didn't feel that uncomfortable. It wasn't too difficult to act like Mion here. Our sister told me Satoshi-kun looked exhausted. I said hi to him, but he ignored me. Since I knew what he'd been going through, his pain looked apparent to me. I was interested in another person in this classroom. Satoko, Satoshi-kun's little sister. She looked as worn out as Satoshi-kun, emotionless like an abandoned doll. Everybody in this room was aware of their circumstances, but no one could do anything for them. So they just acted as though nothing was wrong. Mion will only let me have this one day. If I slacked off even a little bit, today would be over very quickly. I had to figure out what I should do in this limited time. I should probably talk to Satoshi-kun. About what? Anything goes. Cheer him up, sympathize with him, anything will do. More than anything, I just wanted to chat with him. However, sis had told me, HD told me, she said Satoshi-kun didn't communicate much with her lately, and had distanced himself from her. I figured I shouldn't talk to him too casually. I wanted to, but maybe it was better to leave him alone. I needed to keep Sister's warnings in mind, but instead I decided to ignore them. Of course she does. I looked for Satoshi-kun during lunch break. He was walking as if looking for a place where he could be alone. I caught him in the hallway. Satoshi-kun. He turned around, startled by my voice. His facial expression surprised me. He was scowling, clearly a sign of rejection. But I couldn't hesitate. I'd lose my only chance if I did. Hey, how are you? He gave me a look as if saying, Do I look fine to you? I never expected to see an expression like that on his face. I felt like my heart was being torn into pieces. As I looked down, he spoke to me. I felt a little glad, but the next thing he said changed that. I'm fine. Is there anything else? Eh? I'll get going if there isn't, because I want to be alone. Okay, I guess you're tired from work. I'm sure you want some time to yourself. You're working today too, right? Where at? Sis had found several jobs for him. He worked at a few different places. He was helping out when necessary at any of the shops Mion introduced him to. As a result, he constantly had to do different tasks in a different environment almost every time. On top of that, he requested high-paying jobs from Mion because he wanted a large sum of money as soon as possible. In other words, he chose to mostly do manual labor. He was exhausted every day because he wasn't that physically strong. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't you know because you helped me get the job? Mion did help him get the job, yet Satoshi-kun didn't look thankful for that opportunity. This wasn't like him at all. It made me feel sad. You're right. Sorry. Is that all? He sounded so harsh. Why was he being like that? Would he ever strike my head again? That's all you care about? No. I couldn't help my tears. They flowed onto my cheeks. Satoshi-kun looked confused for a moment, but then he frowned again. Sorry. The coach said he wanted you to come back to practice. I told him I quit, so I won't be going back. But maybe it's a good idea to work out from time to time. You know. Not interested. I didn't know why he was being so hostile towards me. Or maybe that I got those two freaking backwards there. That must have been him. Why did he hate me so much I was left bewildered? Why? How come? Because I'm busy with work. Isn't it obvious? No, I didn't mean that. Why do you hate me so much? Why don't you ask yourself? Ask myself? What? What did I do? I don't understand, Satoshi-kun. I couldn't control my emotions any longer. Streaks of tears ran down my cheeks. Satoshi-kun gave me a hateful glare and walked away without saying another word. I couldn't even stop him. If I tried, he'd hurt me again with another cutting remark. I couldn't bear that, so I just watched him walk away. I wiped my tears and went back to the classroom. I heard somebody crying from inside. What's going on? I looked around the room to see. It was Satoko. I saw her bento box on the floor. I asked one of her classmates what happened, and it seemed that Satoko had bumped into somebody's shoulder when she stood up to wash the box out. That was all. But Satoko was crying as if afraid she was going to be chided badly. What happened was very minor. She could just pick up the bento box and things would be fine. It looked like the lid came a little loose, but it was definitely fixable. She didn't have to cry like that. Well, despite her knowing their situation at home, she doesn't really sympathize with Satoko at all, really, does it? Does she? So it's kind of understandable that she's just like, oh, stop being such a stupid kid, Satoko. Just because you've got a bad environment at home. Kind of attitude she's got there towards her. Yet Satoko started begging through her tears. Help me, Nene. Ah! Because of what happened with Satoshi-kun, I couldn't suppress my emotions very well. Oh shit, mate. Well, Shion isn't going to be happy with this side, is she? Because all she can think about is how Satoko's been a burden to Satoshi, so she's not going to sympathize with Satoko like Mion would. So instead, they exploded, like the bento, I imagine. I stormed up Satoko while elbowing her classmates aside. I grabbed her by the head, then threw her into the wall. Jeez! Satoko screamed. She didn't seem to understand what had happened. She was shedding tears and shivering. She must be wondering why I did that. You know why I did that? Help me! Satoko cried for her brother's help again, and so I grabbed her head and threw her again. Satoko stumbled and crashed into a desk. The desk fell and the contents of the drawer scattered about. Satoko didn't even stand up. She just crouched and trembled while looking up at me.
Help, Nini.
If you weren't like that, Satoshi-kun wouldn't have to suffer, don't you get it? That's what I wanted to say, but I was too angry to utter another words. I picked up a bunch of textbooks from the floor and threw them at her face. Cry as much as you want, but nothing's going to change. Why are you crying? Because you think somebody's going to help you. You don't have any idea what he has to go through to protect you, do you? Do you understand that? Do you understand what you're doing? You shouldn't exist. Die if you don't want to suffer. Go fuck yourself. Don't hurt Satoshi-kun. You deserve to die alone. You just deserve to die. Jesus Christ, you exploded. Bet Mion's already... Well, she doesn't know yet, does she? About this, clearly. She's not actually there. But when she hears about this, she's going to be like, oh god, why did I let Shion do that? How the fuck am I going to explain this to everyone? Let's see how that looked. I doubt she said go fuck yourself, because I don't think that... I'm not sure if there is equivalent in Japanese for saying go fuck yourself. I think that is, yeah. Shide! Die! Shindeshima! I mean, seriously, man, you exploded there. It's also, there as well. Shine! I mean, damn. Thought this was just gonna be about Oyashiro-sama, but now we have Shion flipping out as well. I don't know what to title this part anymore.
Nini!
Desperate cries only increase my irritation. Stop crying! Don't call your brother for help. Stop it! If you weren't like that, if only you. I kept on throwing things at her. Satoko curled up to protect herself and cried even harder. Oh, at that point the girl with long hair ran up and huddled over her. It's Rika. I knew who that was. Rika Furude, one of Satoko's only friends.
Please don't hurt her. She's in a poor situation, so please don't hurt her.
Doesn't matter how pathetic she is. She shouldn't rely on Satoshi-kun all the time. Stop spoiling her. Satoshi-kun has to suffer so much because of her.
No, stop. Don't hurt her.
Rika also became the target of my anger. I gave her a totally different voice there. I'm trying to teach her something here. If you keep getting in the way, I'll crack your head open. I grabbed the chair and lifted it over my head. It wouldn't hurt only a little if I threw this thing at them. Rika tightly closed her eyes and covered Satoko with her body. I didn't care where the consequences would be. I didn't care if I'd hurt them. Well,
Stop! Mi-chan!
Rena turned to the classroom and shouted at me. I was waiting for that. It's like, if anyone's gonna intervene, it'd be her. Oh, and Satoshi as well. Then Satoshi-kun rushed in while pushing Rena aside. Seeming to have grasped the situation immediately as I got a message on Facebook, but I'll get to that after concluding this recording in a moment. Well, a minute or so, who knows? He charged straight at me. Until my body had hit the locker, I didn't understand what had happened. There was a loud crashing noise. I left a dent in it. I crouched there in pain. Satoko, are you alright?
Nini!
Satoko pushed Rika aside, jumping at her brother, and started crying again. What happened? Why were you treated like that? Why?
I didn't do anything, but Mion said she suddenly...
What's going on, Mion? Satoshi-kun shouted at me while clutching his sister. He looked fierce. What did Satoko do to deserve this? What did we do? Why do we always have to suffer like this? Why? Why? He released Satoko and rushed up to me, grabbing me by the neck. Maybe that's Shion. You said that I should ask myself, didn't you? So why don't you ask yourself? Ask what? I know you feel she's a burden on you. You always have to suffer because of her. You know that, right? If she was stronger, you wouldn't have to suffer. She's the one to blame. I don't believe what I was saying was wrong. But after hearing it, Satoshi-kun went berserk. What the heck do you know? Satoshi-kun grabbed my hand, threw me to the wall just like I did Satoko. However, I wasn't going to back down. I no longer had any control of my emotions at all. You spend so much time You spend so much time protecting her. She'll never stop relying on you until you stop doing that. What the hell do you know about us? What the heck do you know? You persecuted our parents. And now it's us. That's the way the Sonozaki family, huh? You torture traitors for fun. Is it fun? Is it fun bullying us? Huh? Who's saying that now? Stop it! That was Rena's voice, okay. She stepped in looking as fierce as a demon. Oh, when Rena's in a fierce mood, you better not cross her.
Satoko-kun, please. Mii-chan doesn't have any bad intentions. She wanted to help you, but she just lost control a little. Okay?
Satoshi-kun looked like he wanted to say something back, but he chose not to.
You too, Mii-chan. I know how much you worry about Satoshi-kun. But you can't solve the problem like that. I think you understand, right?
Since Satoshi-kun didn't say anything, I kept quiet too.
Here, Satoko-chan, you don't have to cry just because you dropped your bento box, alright? Do you feel better now? Satoko, I'll pick up the bento for you.
Rika started picking up the bento box while its owner continued to cry.
Guys, can you help us clean up too? The teacher will be back from the vegetable garden soon. This quarrel is over, so don't tell her about it. The battery's low, so okay? We'll continue the scene in the next part because the frickin' battery sucks balls!
What percent is that? Freaking hell, 20%? 12 minutes left? Fuck that. I was hoping to get the scene completed, but we'll have to finish the scene and continue on with another scene in the next part. So, I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.